Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel. This is Decoding with Cody, and I have a special presentation for you guys today. A Gematria decode on the Georgia Guidestones and the ties that I've found between, well, many things, but specifically Nazi Germany and the Rosicrucians. Okay, so for anyone who's not familiar with any of these things, I'm going to hopefully have enough detail in this. Basically in this decode to help you guys understand. But I'm pretty sure a lot of you that are stopping by on this decode are probably somewhat familiar with what these are. So I just want to dive right in because I've got a lot of information to share, and I've been working really hard on this decode. So if you guys like, please give it a thumbs up and let me know any additions that you guys can add. Because like I said, I'm new to this subject, but just in the amount of days I've been researching it, I've already found a lot of information tying it together. And so anyways, the first thing that you guys need to know is the Georgia Guidestones, right? So the Georgia Guidestones are a granite monument erected in 1980 in Elbert County, Georgia. So remember that, Elbert County, Georgia, because that's going to be a big part of this decode and tying it in with our current events. As you guys can see here, it gives all the measurements. I'm sure there's some decoding that can be done in these measurements. I didn't do a lot of decoding in this presentation on the measurements, but I think that if I looked more into it, I could probably find some interesting things on the measurements. And for any of you guys out there who are good with this kind of stuff, you might be able to add to this, because this reminds me of a biblical thing where they give all the measurements to stuff, So something that you guys could add to if you guys have any information. Now, um, what I want to mention here is that the fact that it's in Georgia, right? And I didn't add this to the decode, type it up, but I want to add it, with this speaking it, So basically, think about all the teams in sports, if any of you follow sports, who have won the national championship this year out of Georgia. Well, first you had the Atlanta Braves, out of Georgia. Obviously, they won the World Series in baseball. And then you had the Georgia Bulldogs, the college football team. They won the national championship. And then you had Matthew Stafford, who played for the Rams, who won the Super Bowl, and he used to go to Georgia, played for the Georgia Bulldogs. So you have three sports and Georgia connections, right? So I think that you guys, this is I'm going to show you why I think that Georgia is winning this year, because this is a monumental year for the anniversary of these stones. And so let's jump into the Gematria here. The first of all, it was erected by a man named, or it's an alias, but his name is R.C. Christian. Okay, and a lot of people have said that the R.C. stands for the Rosy Cross, as in the Rosicrucians. Okay, so you have the Rosicrucians, right? And they are known for the Rosy Cross. And as you can see, if you type in R.C. Christian's name and you use capital letters, this is the Francis Bacon cipher. So it's just the standard English, but instead of using capital letters are taken into account. So capital letters are important. And in this case, you have the two capitalized initials, R.C. Christian, and you have the Georgia Guidestones, which are a direct match. And, I believe that there's a reason for that, right? So, and a lot of people have already speculated that these stones are tied to the Rosicrucians, which are essentially another secret society that's, I think, working alongside the Freemasons, the Catholics, the Jesuits. But I won't get into those societies here much. I just want to speak specifically about the symbolism of the Rosicrucians. So, first of all, you have the esoteric societies have been derived from the Rosicrucians. Their symbol is the Rosy Cross or the Rose Cross, and they're also societies that have been called the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, right? And the biggest Rosicrucian order is based out of San Jose, California, called the AMORC. Now, as I go through this decode, I want you guys to keep remembering that this part right here, where it says that between 1614 and 1617, the anonymous manifestos were published first in Germany. So I want you to remember that here, guys. that Germany is going to be tied directly into this decode. And I think there's a reason that the first manifestos were published in Germany. Now, notice again that there's the RC coming up, right? Just like Rosicrucian, well, they're called the fame of the Brotherhood of RC in 1614. So again, it's pretty clear what the RC stands for, I think. I mean, a lot of the Wikipedia and everything kind of plays it down, but I think anyone with a um, normal thinking perception would understand that the RC probably stands for the same thing that it stands for when it comes to the Rosicrucians. So now notice also that the father RCRC, which remember, the guy who founded the Guidestones was named Rosicrucian, and that could be the initials CRC as well, right? So again, I don't think I have to say too much to you guys about that. I think it's pretty clear. Again, you notice that the Fama Fraternitas presents the legend of the German doctor, mystic philosopher, Father CRC, Father Brother CRC, Christian Rosencreutz. Again, Christian, right? So don't think that this is a coincidence at all. I think it's obvious that they're, you know, playing this out just the way it's just very clear to me, guys. So as I see here, I just got you guys to see the similarities between the Father CRC and the RC Christian, right? So keep scrolling down. Now I'm going to tie the Skull and Bones Secret Society into this, and I did a video. My last video was about this, about our current events and how we're quickly approaching Skull and Bones Day, which is Order 322, which is March 22nd. Now, notice that the Guidestones were erected on 322. I mean, what a day, guys. I mean, of all days, they were erected on 322, 1980, right? So there's it's obvious that they were erected on that day because of the significance of that day. And as you can see in this picture, the Order 322, Brotherhood of Death, right? Remember the Yale University, right? This is where George W. Bush went, and a lot of the presidents, So again, not a coincidence. Now, guys, I want to bring this up here. If you guys want, I put links throughout this whole article, right? And if you want to click on this article here, you can go check out Gematria Effect News. Zach Hubbard, his whole website is nothing but decoding, and he does a decode on last year, what happened on 322 Skull and Bones Day last year in Colorado. And you guys are going to see how Colorado ties into this in a little bit. But go check out his article here. I'm going to bring up these articles as I go through the document. Okay. So anyways, moving on. Before I get into anything else, I want to take some measurements from the day of the erection of the stones to the day of 10/24/2022. And the reason I picked that day is because it's 2,222 weeks and 2 days, as you can see here, right? 2,022 weeks and 2 days. And why is that important? Well, the 222 is huge. And if you guys recall, I made a video about this earlier this last month when Biden came out at 222 on 2/22/22. He came out late to his presentation that he was giving Russia their first sanctions. He came out late, and he came out exactly 2/22 with a big smile on his face. And that day just happened to be George Washington's birthday, and it was 222 years and 2 months after George Washington's death. So again, the 222 is huge. And don't forget that World Economic Forum, another German, led by German Klaus Schwab, is also 222. And as you guys can see here, this is where it gets interesting. You have a direct match from Elbert County, Georgia, where the stones are located, and the World Economic Forum. And I'm going to show you more as we go through the document. So why is this day, the day I'm talking about here, 10/24/2022, why is it special? Well, it's basically just because it's 2,222 weeks, but it also lands on a date. As you guys can see here, it's 42 years. This in a couple days, it will be 42-year anniversary of these Guidestones. Okay, so that's big too. 42 is a huge number. I didn't write a lot about it in this document, but and notice that this is a 24, which is the reverse 42. But at any rate, it has 68 date numerology, right? So that means, or no, sorry, it's the 68 days left in the year. So that's huge, guys. And here I showed how, and Zach showed this in his document. If you want to check out Zach's this link here, you can see where Zach talks about this. But I posted this from his document, and where he talks about World War One started on a 68 date numerology, which just means when you add the date up, 7 plus 28 plus 19 plus 14, that was World War One, 1668, right? Same thing with World War Two, 9 plus 1 plus 19 plus 39. That's World War Two beginning, 68. And then if you add the dates of the Ukraine invasion on February 24th, 2022, you're also going to get 2 plus 24 plus 22 plus 20 plus 20 plus 22 is 68. Again, look, guys, Georgia Guidestones in Chaldean, 68. Okay, and this day is leaving 68 days in the year. 68 days left in the year. Now, this 297 number I'm going to come back to, but it's going to be huge when I talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger. So please, guys, if you keep this number in your mind, keep this 68 and 297 for this date in your mind, because when I go down here to Arnold Schwarzenegger, you're going to remember that this is the day 297th day of the year. Okay, because it's going to blow your mind how specific this day is important to these Guidestones. And don't forget, guys, it's 15,556 days if you do it in days. I told you it was 2,222 weeks, but this 156, if you really reduce this down, it could be a 156. And remember, guys, 9/11 is the 156th prime. And again, there's so much more to say here, but I don't want to make this video too long. But just look, guys, I mean, every world war starts on 68 date numerology, and the Georgia Guidestones happen to be 68. And then 2,222 weeks and 2 days later, from the Guidestones being erected to this day, just happens to be 68 day left in the year. So it's huge, guys. Huge day for this, and who knows what's going to happen. But I might do a second video talking about more dates. So as we scroll down, I'm going to try to connect the Skull and Bones now and the Nazis, because you're going to see how clear and obvious these connections are. So first thing I want to bring up is, remember the photo above with the first Rosicrucian manifestos were published in Germany, right? Obviously, Nazi Party is all about Germany. Klaus Schwab, the leader of the Economic Forum, is a German. Arnold Schwarzenegger had a Super Bowl commercial this year. He played the Terminator. I'm going to get into that more, but again, the Germans. Again, remember, guys, I mean, I'm going to talk about this more later in the decode, but Arnold Schwarzenegger and Hitler were both born in Austria. And I'll talk about that more later, but this is the point that I want to bring across in Gematria here, guys. If you look at television, which is the propaganda, right? And if you look at Nazi Party, and you look at Skull Bones, and you look at Washington, right? And here I talk about how Nazi Party and Rosicrucian are direct matches in the base cipher, 130, Rosicrucian and Nazi Party, right? And then have we ever wondered why Washington was the name of our first president, and why it's the name of our capital, and why Bill Gates is out of the state Washington, right? Well, that's because Washington also equals 130, okay? So this 130 is a huge number, and it's all tied to everything in our history, it looks like, you know. And notice that George W. Bush is 130, and he went to Skull and Bones, right? And so it's in what happened during his presidency, right? Like one of the most big events in our history, right? And remember, guys, going back to the 68s, 9/11, 911 was made the emergency dialing code in 1968, right? The same year that George W. Bush graduated from Yale Skull and Bones with 911 members in his class, right? 911 members in his class. Same year, the emergency dialing code becomes 911. I mean, come on. Just come on, right? So moving on, now let's tie the Nazi Party into this, because as you see here, Rosicrucian is 34 in Chaldean, and so is Hail Hitler, which is the salute that they would give. When they would give their salute, they would say either Sig Heil or Hail Hitler. and I just typed Hail Hitler because it had a match with the 34 and the Rosicrucian. But not only that, but Germany's a 34. And if you just type in the word Hail itself, it's also a 34. And remember, this I had a picture here. Oh, yeah, right down here, guys. The Nazi salute, Hitler's salute, you can see in my highlighted thing here, by the end of 1934, guys. So remember all these 34s, right? And you have 1934 being the year they established in courts anyone who refused to, special courts were established to punish those who refused to salute in 1934. So again, not a coincidence, I don't think, that all these things are tied to the 34, which is, another huge number this year, coming up a lot. And so, but then again, guys, 1934, the first courts established to punish people, and then you have all these things connecting to 34, right? So again, Rosicrucians are really, I think, behind this, and I'm going to hopefully prove this point as I go on. So moving on. Now I want to talk about this really important show that came out called The Man in the High Castle, and it's basically about what would the United States look like if Germany and Japan had won World War II. And check out this decode on Zach's channel by Rambo, another one of the great decoders. He shows, look at this, guys, these pictures for promoting the show, The Man in the High Castle, were all over New York, and these are Nazi symbols. And I don't think many people really batted an eye about it. I think some people complained about it, but ultimately, you should check out this decode, and if you haven't already seen it, and just see, how much we're getting into this type of Nazi stuff again, right? So check this out I got the link here if you guys want to check it out. So anyways, this is the map of what the show portrays the United States to look like if we lose the war, right? So you have the Greater Nazi Reich taking up most of the eastern Midwest, and then you have this neutral zone, and then you have this western, which is the Japanese states. Now, the neutral zone I want you to focus on because the capital is Cannon City, right? And that's located in Colorado. And I'm going to show you here in a minute why Colorado is the location of a big location for that neutral zone. And the neutral zone just means it's the place where you're kind of out of the jurisdiction of the Greater Nazi Reich in the Japanese Pacific states, right? So anyways, guys, I just wanted to bring this back up again. World Economic Forum 222, the county where the Guidestones are erected 222. They both have all have 96s. You can notice this, the depopulation agenda also has the 96 and the 102s between the Elbert County, Georgia, and this phrase. So again, pretty clear that these things are all tied. Remember, the first guideline on the stones is to this quote right here: maintain a humanity under 500,000 in perpetual balance with nature, right? So that's the whole reason why I have this phrase here listed and why it's connected with the World Economic Forum. Remember, a German, Klaus Schwab, runs that, right? So if you guys haven't, check out my last video or my two videos ago on Klaus Schwab and the cyber attacks that he's been predicting. So now let's just jump into the show, guys. I mean, you can't get any more clear than this. Why did they choose Colorado in the show? Well, if you guys don't already know, Colorado and Germany are a direct match as a 83 and 38, right? And even the theme song for this show is a 101 and a 38 matching Germany and Colorado. It's called Edelweiss, and that's how you would say it in German. And even the guy who wrote the book that this show is based off, he's 38. And if you type in Nazis Germany, you get a 38 as well. So again, a lot of 38s coming up, and you're going to see 38s. This is a most important number when it comes to Germany and Colorado. And obviously this number is tied to murder by numbers and death and killing, all equal 38. And so it's important to mention this number for sure. So as we go down, we're going to talk about the Rosicrucians. Now, this is where I'm going to make a bridge, guys. I'm going to bridge the gap between the elements on the periodic table and how they code everything, right? So now I want to pivot to rhodium. And why rhodium, guys? Well, you're going to notice that rhodium is the 45th element. It has 102.906 weight. And if you go into the description, which I posted here, and you look, they go and they talk about the Rosicrucians. Of course they do. Because first of all, the symbol they use is a rose, and it's coming from the Greek word rhodon, which means rose-colored, right? The symbol of the rose is usually found with the motto "Dat rosa mel optibus," and that means the rose gives the bees honey. Okay, and it was used by the Rosicrucians, as they're saying. It's a secret society. Again, they're pretty upfront about all this, guys. They're not really hiding anything here. Notice that if you type in rhodium, it's got the 101 and 38. Now remember up here, Edelweiss had the 101 and 38. Now it's the theme song of the show, The Man in the High Castle, that I was just telling you about. Okay, the 101, 38, just like that. Okay, now rhodium. Not only that, if I scroll down here, rhodium is tied because the quote in on the Royal Society of Chemistry is the rose gives the bees honey that the Rosicrucians used. Okay, and notice that phrase is also a 101. And if you type the man in the high castle in full reduction, that's a 101. So you have Edelweiss, the song, you have rhodium, as I'm explaining here, guys. Rhodium is 101. The man in the high castle is 101. The quote that they put on the rhodium element is a 101. And then you have the song for the show, The Man in the High Castle, Edelweiss, is 101. Again, and what's Neo's room number in the Matrix movie? It's 101. It's kind of like a binary kind of thing, right? 101. So it's an important number, and I'm also going to bring up the number 110, which is very similar to that later in the decode. But again, guys, now also want you to notice that the weight, remember, the weight for rhodium is 102.906. So, and just look how crazy this is, guys. I mean, so if the weight for rhodium is 102.906, look at Elbert County, Georgia, where the Guidestones are erected. 102 and 96. Depopulation again, though, 102, 96. Now, this is why I want to bring in Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you guys, I put even a link to him here, so you guys can learn more about him and how he's probably tied to this, right? And so, but just look, his movie that he had come out in 2015 called Terminator Genesis, and it's not spelled like the normal Genesis. It's spelled in a specific way so it gets out to the 102, right? Notice it's a 102, just like Elbert County, Georgia, just like Depopulation Agenda, right? Remember, rhodium has a 102.906 weight. The guy who, obviously everyone knows this guy. I mean, he's the founder of Amazon. He has a 96 in the same ciphers, and he's the one who platform the show The Man in the High Castle was shown on. It was an Amazon show. So again, all going back to the rhodium, 102.906, right? So I explained that all here in writing, and I talked about how like Terminator Genesis is all tied to it. I pretty much just summarized all of that in before I even got here. So now remember, guys, tying to Arnold Schwarzenegger, remember Hitler's father's name was Alois, right? That was his father's first name, and Arnold's middle name is Alois. As you can see, his name is Arnold. Up here, I gave you his full name, Arnold Alois Schwarzenegger, right? So, again, not a coincidence, guys. They were both born in Austria, and his father's name was Alois, and Hitler's father's name was Alois, and Arnold's middle name is Alois. So, again, now I want to talk about something really crazy that I discovered, is that the second guideline on the Guidestones is guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Now, if you type in the phrase guide production wisely, and it's a direct match to Arnold's full name in the 126. Now, remember, guys, up here, up at the top, I told you that the day 10/24/2022, if you measure 2,222 weeks and 2 days from the creation of the Guidestones being erected to that date, 10/24/22, it was 10/24, and that's the 297th day of the year. Remember, it was 68 days left in the year. Now look at this. The whole phrase "guide reproduction wisely" is 297, just like that day is the 297th day of the year. And notice that Arnold Schwarzenegger is an anagram of that, 279, just like the Holy Bloodline of Christ, which I think this ties into very well, because ultimately that's what the Rosicrucians are all about, is bloodlines. That's what these secret societies are all about. And notice they all have a matches with 126 in full reduction. And I posted this little article here. And again, you can check out the link here for reading the guidelines. But this is where an article that just came out on the 17th about Arnold Schwarzenegger talking about the Russian soldiers, and I don't want you to be broken like my Nazi father. That's his quote, right? So again, more propaganda, right? So anyways, let's talk more about Arnold Schwarzenegger. Obviously, guys, he was the 38th governor of California. Remember, I told you Germany and Colorado, both 38. Murder, killing, death, 38. Colorado, the 38th state. It's just so clear, guys. I mean, of course, he was the 38th governor. And now, during the Super Bowl 213, he had a commercial. He played Zeus, where he knocked out the power. Now, I talked a lot about that in my 2 videos ago, so go back and watch that if you guys want to know more about that. But Arnold Schwarzenegger is a huge figure in our reality, right? And just think about it. He's most famous for playing the Terminator. And what are we talking about here? We're talking about taking care of the population, right? And what's the Terminator referencing, right? I don't want to get into too many details here because I want this video to be going out. So, but just think about that. Terminator, the Georgia Guidestones. He's all about, he's tied to Hitler. It's just so clear, guys. And again, I want to even bring up his daughter's name, right? His daughter's name before she got married, because she's married now, so she has the last name Pratt because she got married to Chris Pratt. But before she was married, Catherine Eunice Schwarzenegger is a direct match to one of the original names of the Rosicrucians, which is the ancient and mystical order of the Rosicrucia. Rosicrucians, maybe? I don't know. But anyways, again, guys, I told you the 101s earlier. Here you got the 110s and the 124s. Okay. So his daughter's name is a direct match to one of the original names. And that's again, I don't think a coincidence at all. So let's keep going down. Now I want to talk about Colorado. In the show, The Man in the High Castle, right? There's the neutral zone. I told you guys want to read about it. I put a link here. It's basically the zone between the Germans and the Japanese that's kind of away from the jurisdiction, but it's not a very good zone. It's kind of a low standard zone, right? So, but it would be located in our modern day Denver. And I just wanted to Denver has to be brought into this, and you guys are going to see why. So in the show, the capital is called Cannon City instead of Denver, but you guys notice that it's a 156 and a 156 matching Rosicrucian. Remember, guys, 9/11 is the 156th prime. So this is a huge number, the 156, okay? And even if you take the whole quote on the rhodium that I just showed you, if you take both the English and the Latin version and you type it in the calculator, you're going to get 156. So again, that number is huge with these secret societies because 9/11 is the 156th prime. Okay. Not only that, guys, but Denver, Colorado, which is the location of Cannon City, is 151. That's the 36th prime. Neutral zone is also 151, and Rosicross, like the Rosicrucians, is 151. Again, Rosicrucianism is symbolized by the Rosy Cross or the Rose Cross, right? That's why I put Rosy Cross. I'm going to bring more about that up in a little bit. Okay, now I want to talk about the Denver International Airport. Okay, this is an interesting topic because I'm going to show you the pictures of it in a minute, but let's just bring the Gematria in here. First of all, the airport is located at 8500 Pena Boulevard, and the 8 and 5 is huge because 58 equals secret society equals 58 in Gematria. So the fact that it's located at 8500 Pena Boulevard, again, the 85 and the 58, not a coincidence here. And also, look at this, guys. I mean, Georgia Guidestones is 68, as I showed earlier, but 8500 Pena Boulevard, 68. Now, if you bring it over to the regular English, you're going to see 85 Pena Boulevard is 149. Skull and Bones, 149. Rosicrucians, 149. And the number that I've been talking a lot about, because Colorado equals 38, and you spell it out, 149. Again, not a coincidence, guys. These 38s keep coming up. As I show here, Colorado, the 38th state, and all the other 38s that I just talked about. Now, notice that I'm going to have a picture down here. I think I didn't post a picture, I guess, but I had a picture. Denver recently had a downtown bar open that's called Run for the Roses. Now, this isn't significant because the Kentucky Derby, where the horse race is called is also nicknamed Run for the Roses. This is tying back to the Rosicrucians. Now, it's no coincidence that Denver opened up a bar recently in the last 5 or 10 years called Run for the Roses. Again, all this rose connection is continuing to come up, just like rhodium and the Rosicrucians. It's all tied. So notice that Colorado Avalanche, the Denver, Colorado hockey team, has a 64 in a direct match to Run for the Roses. Oh, yeah, guys, here's the little picture. You might not be able to see it, but this is a screenshot of that bar. If you guys want to look it up, you can just type it in. Also, notice I can't do a whole decode without bringing in the Jesuits, who ultimately are probably the same thing as the Rosicrucians, and to be honest with you, or very similar at least. Notice that the Pope's name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, is 201, Ignatius of Loyola, 201, and Run for the Roses, 201. Now, Ignatius of Loyola is the founder of the Jesuits, and Jorge Mario Bergoglio is a Jesuit Pope who is the Pope right now. So, again, no coincidence that these all equal 201. And, of course, it's all tied to Denver and Germany and the Rosicrucians and all these secret societies. So as we go down, the last big thing I want to hit on here is the interesting artwork that's existing at the Denver airport. They have a 32-foot tall fiberglass sculpture over Pena Boulevard of they call it people call it Lucifer, but the original name for it was Mustang. And if you guys want to know more about, you can click the links. I put lots of links here for you guys to look into. But they call it Mustang, and what's the Denver football team's name? Well, they're called the Denver Broncos. Well, Bronco, a Mustang, a horse. There's lots of names for a horse, but they're all similar, and so it's all about the horse symbolism here. And I'm going to show you why that's important. But notice also that he was the creator of this, Luis Jimenez, died in 2006 after a part of the Mustang came loose while he was working. It severed his artery in his leg, and he bled to death, right? So what's the whole stigma around Colorado and the number 38 and the fact that they have a statue of a horse that falls and cuts this guy's artery and he dies? I mean, come on. It's definitely a ritual there. But notice that the 32s, right? Notice that the statue is 32 foot tall, right? And remember, the Denver Broncos are the football team for the for Denver, right? But notice that all the 32s here, guys, if you can see this picture, Broncos is 86-32, Mustang is 95-23, and 94. Notice the 94s, Mustang, Denver, and Neptune. This is a Neptune ritual because Neptune has his trident. Hitler was in charge of the Third Reich. It all goes back to the trident or the Trinity. But notice they all have 94s. But I just wanted to also point out all the 32s. I mean, just notice that all the similarities between Broncos, Mustang, Neptune, and Denver, right? Clear ritual here with Neptune and Denver, and also the horse symbolism. Now we get into the Nazis because below I give you a link. If I can scroll back down, I give you a link showing how Hitler had 2 bronze horses made during his reign, and they called thorax walking horses. They were standing 16 feet high and 33 feet long, and one once guarded Hitler's new Reich Chancellery in Berlin, planted on either side of the stairs. Notice that thorax walking horses is a 70, matching directly to the Denver Broncos, the football team for Colorado, the Denver Broncos. So again, not a coincidence. And again, I told you I'd give you some pictures of the Denver airport. The Denver airport has the first picture here. You can see a girl in a coffin holding roses and flowers. Remember the song for the man in the high castle is called Edelweiss, which is a flower, and obviously the Rosicrucians are connected to the roses. And you have the horse relating to thorax horses, which were made for Hitler and connecting to the Broncos. Notice that the horse is standing at a 45-degree angle, just like the salute. Because I didn't put a picture in this, but during the salute for Hitler, you had to hold your arm at a 45-degree angle. You guys can go look that up. But there's a reason why the horse is up in the air at a 45-degree angle. And then look at this, guys. Literally a picture of what looks like a Nazi soldier with a gun and a sword and some children hiding. And it's just the symbolism all over this. And there's more artwork. You guys can look up more pictures if you want. But this is just the 3 that really stood out to me. And obviously the horse. And this girl holding the flowers is a big clue. Remember, they have a bar in Denver called Run for the Roses, and the Rosicrucians are the ones I believe really behind this. And a point that I didn't bring out, guys, is that I'm gonna bring out this point next, actually. Because I talked about the 45 degrees, how the Hitler salute was 45 degrees and the horse was 45 degrees. But now I want to put the icing on the cake here. I stumbled upon this connection at the very end of this decode, and I was like, why didn't I see this at the very beginning? But notice that there's a sect, right? There's a certain sect of Rosicrucians, and I really want to emphasize this. It's called, and they had a direct effect on Nazi occultism. Okay, it's called the Order of the Golden and Rosy Cross. Okay, Order of the Golden and Rosy Cross. All right. Now, here's you can see this is a little thing I put out so you guys can read. The Order of the Golden and Rosy Cross, a German Rosicrucian organization founded in 1750 by Freemasonries. Candidates were expected to be Freemasons also, but notice that here in this part, it shows how the Golden Rosy Cross has influenced the creation of modern initiatic groups. On the other hand, the Nazis see the occult roots of Nazism may have been inspired by this very group. So again, guys, you have this very group of Rosicrucians who inspired the Nazism, the occultism in Nazis, right? It's not a coincidence. And just look at the match, guys. And you had to use the right cipher for this. You had to use the cipher that takes into account the S's. And just look at this, guys. You have propaganda by numbers, 110. The United States government, 110. Golden and Rosy Cross, 110. Georgia Guidestones, 110. And the Man in the High Castle, 110. All things I've been talking about throughout this whole presentation, and they all match. I mean, you just had to find the right connection, and it took a little time for me to find it, but I mean, it was there the whole time. So in my mind, no doubt in my mind that the Rosicrucians are symbolized all over these Georgia Guidestones, all over the show, The Man in the High Castle, all over Denver, Colorado. It's all connected. It's all a big ritual. But again, guys, watch out for October 24th. I measured it out for you guys and showed you how significant it is, being that it's the 297th day of the year, 68 days remaining. And the guideline on the Guidestone, Guide Reproduction Wisely, is 297, just like the day, and also Georgia Guidestones is 68, just like the days remaining. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. I had a lot of information to get out. I hope it was clear and concise, easy to understand, and hope I put a lot of work into this. So guys, leave me a like and give me some comments, guys. Give me some information if you guys have anything that you can add to it. I'm always appreciative of that extra information, so I can do more better decodes in the future. So anyways, guys, take care. Hope you guys are blessed and have a great day. Enjoy your day. I will see you